Tony. Greg Medea from the Charlottesville Daily Progress. The age and experience of your offensive line and defensive line, how does it set you up for more success this year as opposed to the first 2 years of your tenure?
Yeah, great question. If you followed the transition when I took over, the offensive line was really, really good prior to me arriving in Charlottesville, and then there was a mass exodus. And so I think we started with 6 scholarship guys in that first spring, trying to beef that up. So when you look at us today, I feel really good about where our competitive depth is. Obviously, we got a lot of competition. I'm excited about that. We were able to add a couple of transfers on the offensive line that I think is going to help us down the stretch. And then you're going to have a chance to talk to a couple of the veteran guys that have decided to come back. I'm excited about on that D line. We had 3 young men that had an opportunity to transition on, but they decided to come back. And I believe that they came back because they believe in what we're doing, but more importantly, man, they wanted to be a part of helping us make that transition. So overall, from a competitive depth standpoint, we're much improved, and we want to continue to see can we use that to help us improve on Saturdays.
Coach, to your right, 5th row towards the back.
Hey, Tony. Mike Barber, Richmond Times-Dispatch. I'm curious, going into year 3, what have you accomplished with this program, and what do you feel like is still up there on that whiteboard to get done in terms of building your program? Yeah,
I think if to answer that question in terms of what we've accomplished, the first thing for me was to lay a solid foundation. And I think that when you look over the last 2.5 years, and I say this very humbly, but I don't know if there's a college football program that's been challenged more than the University of Virginia. And I think that has helped us to really define what our character is and lay that foundation that I believe is going to allow us to build for the future. So did I want it to happen necessarily the way that it's happened? No, but I understand that everything happens for a reason, and we were chosen for what we've been through at UVA, but I believe that's allowed us to really lay the foundation the way that it needed to be laid for the future. In terms of things that are out there on the whiteboard, man, there's the list is long, but I think you got to put it in perspective and be relative to time. And so, the first thing is, man, I want these guys to experience the fruit of their labor and to go out and win some football games, because, man, they've been working extremely hard. They've had some adversity that they've had to overcome. That they didn't choose, but they've persevered. They've chosen to stick with it. And so for us, it just starts with, man, being competitive game in and game out. Let's go win some football games and see can we earn ourselves the right to be in the postseason.
Coach, from the podium, can we stay on the word accomplish for just a second? What does accomplished greatness mean to you?
Man, the ACC. And I can say this with full confidence because in this conference, man, I've been a part of being at the mountaintop several times, and to do it with the class that is done in this league. You look at holistically how the ACC is structured, from the profiles of the schools to the accomplishment, in the revenue generating sports, and then also in the Olympic sports. So, greatness for me is being really good for a really, really long period of time, and I believe that's what we are as a conference.
Back on the right-hand side, about the 5th row.
Hey, Coach. Scout Hughes with WBRF. In terms of recruiting, what are you doing to make sure that Virginia high school kids stay within the state of Virginia to play college ball?
Great question. I believe in an inside-out mentality, and since the day that I arrived in Charlottesville, I've said, and I stick to this, that I want to do it with mostly guys from the state of Virginia. I also understand that there's a lot of work that needed to be done and continue and still has to be done. The biggest thing is building relationships. I know we're in kind of a weird time in college athletics where you're hearing the word relationship versus transaction, but I still think that recruiting is still going to be based off relationships. And so what that means is that we consistently have to be present in the schools in the state of Virginia. We have to go after every player, and I've challenged the staff, and I believe that, man, we've made a run at every player in the state of Virginia regardless, right? And showing that we have the confidence, right? Because we believe in the product, that we have. And we have an unbelievable academic opportunity. Man, we're building something from a football perspective. Man, we're in an earshot from the nation's capital. Man, you you can be down at the beach in 2 hours, in the mountains in 45 minutes. Man, you're in wine country. I mean, there's all kind of things that are special about the University of Virginia, but we have to be present in the schools consistently, building relationships and restoring relationships with the coaches. And then when we have an opportunity to have a young man from the state of Virginia come to the University of Virginia, we got to make sure we deliver, on the experience that we're selling.
Coach, follow the center aisle up to the left. Gentleman right there on the end.
Hey, Coach, this is Grayson Mann with TigerNet.com. One of the matchups on your schedule this year is your first return back to Clemson since taking the Virginia job. Just what would it mean to get a win in Clemson at your tenure back at offensive coordinator?
Man, I think to get a win, any win, man, we're going to celebrate, any win. But we also understand how difficult it is to win football games at the college football level and in the ACC. And to go back to Death Valley, obviously being an alum, and there's going to be some emotion prior to the game. But, man, once the ball is kicked off, I have a responsibility to these young men sitting right here and the other young men that are going to be on that travel squad to make sure that I take myself out of it and that I'm the best that I can be to help these young men be successful so that they have an opportunity to go earn victory on the field.
Coach, to your right, about the fifth row towards the back.
Frank Maloney, who's talking on 910. Coach, earlier on the radio interview downstairs, you were talking about some of the basic fundamentals of what you were trying to accomplish this year. Apply those thoughts to your opening schedule. Much has been made of those first 4 or 5 games and how important they are to your season and for your young men to your left. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think the perspective and the mindset that we have to have is every game is the most important game on the schedule, and you want to get off to a fast start. So we talk about how we want to start each game, and we want to get off to a fast start, and then we want to make sure that we win the middle 8. That means that, man, we're peaking as we go into halftime, and then when we come out of halftime, man, we strike first, and then we want to finish strong in the fourth quarter. And so we have an opportunity. If you look at it, we have a 4-game stretch, and then we have a break. A 4-game stretch, we have a break. So in essence, you almost have a first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So we have a chance to get off to a fast start, man. That second game, man, let's go win the first half of the middle 8. And so, there's some analogies that we can use, but every game is the most important game on the schedule. And, man, that's what I'm so proud of with these young men is because they're embracing that mentality. And I can't wait for you to hear from them because, again, it's one thing for me to say it, but the best teams that I've been around, and I tell them all the time, are the ones that are led from the locker room up. And so I think they understand that in order for us to be successful, we got to treat every game like it's a 1-game season, right? But then we also can look big picture and create some benchmarks for us throughout the year.
Coach, stay on the right, third row.
How you doing, Coach? TJ Wilkerson from 90.9 The Light. You talked about making this program the model for college football.
That's right.
Can you talk about, as of right now, where you're at with that vision, with this program, as well as what kind of building blocks / hurdles have you had to go through to rebuild this program? Yeah,
so together on the field, because that's going to be the last piece of confirmation that, we are headed in the right direction in terms of building the model.
Coach.
When you were hired, wanting to build an identity of running the football first. That identity hasn't completely come to fruition yet. How important is it to show real progress in that regard this year?
It's critical because just in my experience, my personal experience as an offensive guy, the groups that I've been around that were at their best is when they were balanced. When they can run the ball. And what that means is you run the ball when you need to and you run the ball when you have to, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're 50-50 or your stats say that you're completely balanced. But in order for us to be able to really put stress on defenses, we got to make them respect every aspect of our offense. And hopefully with from the opening question, with some more continuity on the offensive line, some more experience, it'll help the run game all the way together, all the way around. And that's also going to improve the passing game because then now you're putting more pressure on the defense as opposed to kind of reacting. And we want to be aggressive, we want to attack, but we have to, establish the run game. And I'm excited about the opportunity we have this year because we're a year older, we're more experienced, we got more depth on the offensive line, we've upgraded elevated at tight end, just in terms of the personnel that we have there, which is important in the run game. But then also their ability in the pass game puts stress on defenses, right? So that you could easily formation to get into some more of your advantageous numbers and angles from a run game standpoint. So it's imperative that we improve in the run game.
Coach Elliott, thank you. We will switch places with Chico Bennett.
All right.
And Chico can step up to a warm podium. If you would, please reintroduce yourselves to our student athletes. That would be fantastic. And Chico, we're going to start with you where we ended with Coach, back to Mike Barber. I've just introduced you, so you don't have to do it.
Chico, Coach mentioned the guys you brought back, particularly on that defensive front. What is the expectation internally of how good this defensive line can be this year?
It's playing fast and relentless. Obviously, there's some things we left out on the table. Obviously, from a production standpoint, including myself. And I think that with the older guys coming back and that presence that we have, especially for the younger guys coming in, man, it's important. It's imperative that we continue to stack on from what we did in the spring and now transitioning from summer workouts now in fall camp. It's big, and we're excited and we're ready.
Next question, first row, right side.
Hey, Chico. Greg Medea from the Daily Progress. How did the close losses last year, I think it was 5 by a touchdown or less, fuel you guys going forward, and what lessons did you learn from those tight games?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's frustrating. I haven't met anybody who's a good loser. Obviously it's one of those deals where you want to win, but I think that we've learned that it doesn't matter what the other team does. It's more so about us. A lot of times it was just 4 to 5 plays, and that's what Coach Elliott has expressed several times, especially during team meetings, that when you really look at it, a game can be made in those 3 to 4 plays, and it all depending on whether it's from a special teams, offense, or defense. But a lot of times he emphasized that special teams will win, or you can lose a game, and so we've had that unfortunately. But I think that as we've transitioned into the spring, we understand that, and it's helped a lot of guys say that, hey, we're close. Obviously, we're tired of being close, and so now it's time to turn that next phase is just winning and capitalizing on those mistakes.
Chico, from the podium, you're part of a military family. You've lived in 7 states. You played at another school, all before joining the folks in Charlottesville. What's it been like for you to actually be somewhere for 3 years without having to move anywhere?
It's been nice. What's funny is I've never been at a place more than 2 to 3 years. So afterwards, I'm now going to be transitioning on. But it's been great being able to call Virginia home, being only 2 hours away from my parents. It's great. And so I think just having that, having the camaraderie of my teammates, and then from the staff, and just overall, Virginia as a whole of Charlottesville has been it's been nice.
Right side, about 5th row back, white shirt.
Chico, you've had the benefit of working under Chris Slade, one of the greatest defensive ends in the history of the ACC. Just talk about that relationship and what you've learned from him.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've learned that you gotta stick to your fundamentals. You don't gotta get too cute. Stick to what you know. Stick to what you're good at, and obviously it'll work in the end. And obviously he'll say just continue to be in shape. That's what he likes to emphasize. He says, as long as you can run all day long, then you'll be good.
Chico, from the podium again, you and Kam, you guys are like the old men of the group now. What's your responsibility in coaching up and teaching the younger guys?
I wouldn't say old, I say seasoned. I try to say seasoned. But in terms of, helping the younger guys develop, just telling them that, hey, emphasis on, taking care of your bodies, taking care of yourself from a mental and physical standpoint is big. But just making sure to maximize every opportunity that you get, especially from the rep count. Obviously everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to play a lot. But sometimes some other opportunities are presented a little bit earlier than others. But the biggest thing, man, is just to capitalize, soak up all the information, be a sponge. And also when somebody's willing to, to help you, whether it may be a little tough love. And as Coach Elliott likes to emphasize, hear the message, not the tone. That's one of the biggest things, man. And that'll help, progress you forward as a young guy. And then, you step in our shoes as some seasoned individuals. You then can basically pass it on to the next.
Any other questions for Chico from the room? If not, Chico, let's finish out with this. You talk about that influence. Your family, full of athletes. How have they influenced you over your playing career?
They've helped me from obviously they've gifted from the athlete side, but I mean just from a mental standpoint, just helping me that with adversity, just as ups and downs, they ebb and flow, and being able to handle adversity is big, especially it's good how something can happen just like that. It can go bad, but it's all about how do you handle that, how do you respond, and how do you make sure to just take that next step forward and not just sit there in one space. Don't get complacent with success and continue to strive to always continue to be great. So, yeah.
Chico, thank you. You can switch places with Kam,
Cool.
the other seasoned member of your group. Kam Butler will stand with us for a few minutes. Same routine. Please identify yourselves. Kam, as you get settled, we'll start on the right side, fifth row, gentleman in the black shirt.
I have to introduce myself.
You do this time, yes.
Mike Barber, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Cam, you heard me ask Chico, but with so many guys back on the defensive front, what is the expectation for what that group can be this year?
Yeah, I think specifically with the D-line, it's going to be a group that plays with a lot more edge. You saw us 2 years ago. We had a lot more sacks, disrupting the passer a lot more. I think it led to more turnovers as well. So going into this season, we want to play with more edge. We want to get after the passer, create TFLs, and then ultimately create turnovers and score on defense.
Kam, to your left, follow the center aisle up about 3 and go in 1.
Ryan Johnson, CFB Dogs. How are you today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm well. I have a quick question. This is a pretty serious one. How accurate was EA on your stats on the college football game?
I only played 3 games, so it's fair, I guess.
Like everyone else.
Yeah, the defense is impossible to play right now. They got to fix the game.
And we'll move to the right, third row.
Hey, Cam. TJ Wilkerson from 90.9 The Light. Unfortunately, your injury was cut short last year. Can you talk about the patience and the process of going through all that, being out for the season, and what your role became while on the sidelines?
Yeah, I'd say my role pretty much changed completely. I was more so just a guy. Instead of playing, I was kind of just like a mini coach, just kind of coaching on the side, just coaching up the young guys. And then even coaching up some of the older guys that had to come in and replace me. I say one thing just about that experience. I learned a ton of patience within myself, and then having more patience with others. And it also showed me just how grateful I am and how much I love the game of football. And coming back was a no-brainer. I mean, that injury just left a really bad taste in my mouth, and I was off to a pretty good season. And I can't wait to just get back to where I was before I got injured this upcoming season.
Kam, from the podium on your resume, you are an academic all-ACC. How do you balance athletics and academics? Is there a trick? Is there a secret?
No, my mom used to be on me all the time. She always used to say I wasn't going to play sports unless I had all B's and A's. So I've kind of just carried that on with me throughout my college career at Miami University and now at the University of Virginia.
Going to go back to the right-hand side, about fifth row back.
Hey, Cam, Frank Maloney, who's talking on 910. I find you to be a very interesting subject in a lot of ways. Talk a little bit about, obviously you've overcome a serious injury and you're getting ready for theoretically your last season in college ball. What are you trying to demonstrate to your teammates in this fall camp? And what are your hopes for particularly the first 4 games of the season?
Yeah, well, first, just to start the season, just go out on a fast start. Like, obviously, I want to start off 4-0, and then roll into that bye week and then just carry on the momentum for the rest of the season. But for myself, just this camp, I want to show everybody that I'm back to my previous self of last year. And I think I've already started to do that when I had half a spring ball to kind of show the guys that I'm back. And now I got a whole summer weight training underneath my belt. So I'm kind of getting back to the same strength and the same conditioning level that I was at during the season, and just want to show everybody that I'm going to be there for them. I know the defense, and I'm going to play hard.
Cam, your last question, front row to the right.
Yeah, Cam, Greg Medea from the Daily Progress. This summer, working out in the new facility, can you kind of explain what it was like and what you enjoyed about summer workouts in the new building? I know we saw it when it opened, but now that you've been able to use it for a month and a half.
Yeah, it's been great. I think it just feels so much more efficient than working out in McHugh, honestly. Like, just going from inside to outside, straight to the locker room, or vice versa the other way around. It's been great. We got new machines in there, and everything's state-of-the-art, and we got plenty of room for everybody. The whole team can fit in there now. Nobody's crammed together, and I think it's going to be super beneficial for not only my this ending of my career, but also the furthering of UVA football, and the next classes that are going to come in. They're all going to see that. They're all going to use it, and I think it's only going to propel this program into a higher level.
Cam, thank you.
Thanks,
we
guys.
can switch it up with Tony. Tony Muskett will be with us for the next 5 or 6 minutes, and 2 hands, 3 hands already in the air. We will start to your right, move to your left, then come back to the right. So right side, 5th row.
Tony, Mike Barber, Richmond Times-Dispatch. What would constitute a successful season this year for you guys?
That's a good question. I'm going to give the answer that Coach E gives us. He's big on preaching, our first opponent is ourselves. UVA's first task of victory is UVA. But, I would be lying if he said the standard wasn't a bowl game, ACC championship, and now, a spot in that college football playoff. I know a lot of people, and for years past, that hasn't really been the standard for UVA, but, we're trying to be the top program in the country and become, the model program. And with that becomes championships, bowl games, college football playoff berth. So that's the standard we're chasing, so that's the standard we're going to set.
Tony, to your left, 2nd row.
Hi, Tony. Mary Dunchemont with the Players Lounge. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
So I noted that you played high school football with wide receiver Ethan Davies. Can you give us some insight into that dynamic relationship?
Yeah, Ethan, you guys haven't met Ethan. Ethan's a real funny guy. He not a man of many words, but very fast, knows the playbook well, and works harder than anybody I've been around. So getting to play with him in high school, and then when I was in the portal, he was a pretty big reason why UVA was attractive, because, he loves it there. He loves Coach E. So, yeah, just getting to be around him, having a locker room, it was a huge help transferring in, and, still being around him, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Tony, back to your right, 5th row.
Hey, Tony, Frank Maloney of Who's Talking 910. I'm fascinated by your tone and your calmness. Last year at this time, you were new to the ACC. You were new to Virginia. With all that you've experienced to this point, talk a little bit about how you feel about going into this season and how maybe your expectations have changed.
I wouldn't say my expectations have changed, because it's the same thing. I think we're still chasing that standard of being the model program. But in terms of expectations of what I know, what we have in the locker room, I'd say it's a lot higher. Coach E mentioned just the experience we have coming back. From O-line to receiver and all the guys we got in the portal too, from our defensive side of the ball. I think we have a complete roster and a deep roster. So expectations are definitely high. And yeah, I expect to translate to some wins.
Tony, right side, right in front of you, 1st row.
Hey, Tony, Greg Medea from the Daily Progress. How'd you go about building some chemistry with some of those new wide receivers? I know somewhere at UVA in the spring, but guys like Trell Harris, Chris Tyree, Andre Green, and I guess Tyler Neville, too, at tight end.
Yeah, it's real easy with those guys because, we do a good job of recruiting high level, high character, and hardworking guys. So, half the time it's them reaching out to me or AC like, yo, let's go get routes, let's go get throws. They're always around the facility, so it's easy to build chemistry when guys are there 24/7 to hang out with. But yeah, it's been awesome just, bringing in new fresh faces that love football, that want to get better, and want to compete. So I think you're going to see some big production from those guys. But yeah, to answer your question, chemistry's been easy when they're willing to work for it.
Tony, left side, 3rd row, green shirt.
Yep.
Cam Lemons, DVD Digest, 24/7 Sports. Tony, you went through a bit of injury troubles last year, and I know it's always tough to keep people off the field, especially just competitors. But what did you learn about yourself going through those injuries, kind of back and forth, and how did you kind of apply that over the next 4, 5, 6 months now that you're standing here?
Yeah, I learned a lot. I know Cam spoke on it a little bit, but you kind of take on a new role. For me, it was you get hurt. the timetable to come back was kind of uncertain. So you could either, one, feel sorry for yourself, or you could do everything in your power to try to make the best of the situation. So for me, that was obviously just rehabbing as much as I could, doing everything I can to get back on the field quicker. But then also, being a player coach. If AC or any other quarterbacks, needed help, I need to be there for them to answer their questions, help them out. If any guys in the offense need help, need someone to talk to about the playbook, anything like that, I need to be the first one there to help them out. So just understanding the role may change that you're in, but the work is the same. You're still working your hardest regardless of the role.
Tony, your last question. Gentleman against the wall to your left with the light ring over there.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Rob Johnson, Legacy Maker Sports Network. All the work you've put in, what the schedule is like. Comes down to the last game of the season. You beat Virginia Tech. How good would that make you feel?
Yeah, it's definitely a big game, but we're focused on the other 11 as well. I know Tech is our rival. It's a big rivalry game, but every game on the schedule is a big game for us, and we want to win all 12 of them, and then, come back here, win the AC championship, and then go on and make a playoff run. So it would feel good, but just like all the other games, we want to win them all.
Tony, thank you very much. Virginia, good luck this season. Folks, thanks for the time today. We will reconvene tomorrow morning right here